شاء الله. إن شاء الله.
Shall I start?
You may.
Okay, thank you. All right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is our second week discussing the 12th word. So thank you again for coming. I really enjoyed last week's discussion and trying to really understand the text. So I hope this continues today. I will start with a dua and then we can go ahead and try together, remember what we talked about and continue the discussion. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim. Ya hayy ya qayyum bi rahmatika astaghith aslih li sha'ni kullu wa la takilni ila nafsi tarfata 'ain. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم صل وسلم على محمد في الأولين وفي الآخرين وفي كل وقت وحين والحمد لله رب العالمين. All right. So continuing our discussion, today we will continue to understand both the philosophical and the Quranic approach to reading the book. As a reminder, there is a king. The king gave the book to two people, and one person is approaching it philosophically, the other is approaching it Quranically. So far we've studied the philosophical approach. We have not finished it yet. And then today we will continue into talking about the Quranic approach as well. Just as a reminder, the intention here is not to make one approach sound bad while the other sound good. That is not useful, but rather to see the differences and similarities between the approaches, if there are any, and decide for ourselves what approach is more meaningful to us. Again, we don't have to walk away with saying, I want this approach and I don't want that approach. Instead, you might find that one approach is useful, but the other approach is more meaningful. And then it's up to you to decide, well, what do you want? Do you want them both? Do you want one of them? And just to know for your own self, why are you choosing this approach? And yeah, that's it. Does anybody feel like we need to add anything to the introduction before I move on? Or like anything we should remember before we get into the reading? Alrighty, let's begin. He, the philosopher, did not even know that the embellished Quran was a book, a written piece expressing a meaning. He rather looked on it as an ornamented antique. He did not know any Arabic, but he was a very good engineer, and he described things very aptly. And he was a skillful chemist and an ingenious jeweler. So he's a very smart man, basically. So this man wrote his work according to those crafts. Okay. As for the Muslim scholar, when he looked at the Quran, he understood that it was the perspicuous, clear, and transparent book. That word is new to me, so if I mispronounce, sorry about that, but it means clear or transparent book, the all-wise Quran. This truth-loving person neither attached importance to the external adornments, nor busied himself with the ornamented letters. He became preoccupied with something that was 1,000,000 times higher, more elevated, more subtle, more noble, more beneficial, and more comprehensive than the matters with which the other man had busied himself. For discussing the sacred truths and lights of the mysteries beneath the veil of the decorations, he wrote a truly fine commentary. So far about the Quranic approach, the Muslim scholar took the book, but he felt or he understood that there is something more meaningful to the book other than what it appears to be. Because again, remember in the analogy, the book was beautifully designed and it had so many jewels. And the beauty of the book can get you busy if you choose to pay attention only to that part of the book. So for the Muslim scholar, he was like, okay, I have a book, but I'm sure there's something more to it than what it appears to be. And then he became more occupied with that matter. So I feel like the main difference is just one is asking, well, what is the book? And he's like touching the book, feeling the book, and trying to understand how it's made and put together. While the other one is asking, wait, what is the meaning of that book? Or what is the meaning behind this book? So far, so good? Okay. Then the two of them took, okay, Brother Ali, go ahead.
I think we have to pay attention to the vocabulary the text uses. The person who's described here as a philosopher, it means the one who looks at the material in his hand, whatever is given to it. Yes, he was a very skillful chemist and a professional person, ingenious jeweler, and he understood the value of the matter itself and benefited from it. But he didn't pay attention that it is a book. From there, we understand that everything depends on our attitude towards the universe. Of course, the book is the universe. Here, we are going to understand, the author is explained that he is talking about the universe. Everything depends on our attitude. That means the universe doesn't affect me to have a perspective. I myself decide which perspective I should have towards the external universe. It means not because the effect of the outside world that I will change my inside, my feelings, because I choose to take an attitude in my feelings. Accordingly, I reflect these feelings, this attitude on what I am seeing outside of my being. What is out there? What does it mean? If this understanding is correct, I have to take care of which kind of attitude I prefer to take. Of course, this is something to do within myself. And first of all, I have to, as we always talk about it, I have to remember that I have been given a free will. Free will is extremely important. Again and again, I say this because by its own nature, the way it is created, it is free. It means it is not under the influence of anything else. Either my previous experience or my parents treated me or a kind of trauma I experienced or lived in my life. But everything depends on my free will, taking a free attitude, free choice, making a free choice without being influenced. But nowadays, the materialist approach to human being, what do they say? Free will be affected by the outside factors so that I am not responsible for it. I am not free to get out of my trauma. Yes, you are free to interpret the trauma. What does it mean for you? Yes, it is hard to digest it. It is hard to experience it, but you have to interpret it freely. That is, you are given the free will. Of course, it will take some time to analyze it, but we have to understand that we are freely analyzing it, taking a certain attitude towards trauma, if we have experienced that one, towards the things are happening outside of me. I have to take an attitude towards it. This is, to me, the most important missing point of this century of people who try to understand human beings. And therefore, they tell us that, look, if I have certain attitude now because of the effect of something outside of me, outside of my control. Yes, the things are happening outside of my control in my life, but I have free will to interpret it as I would like to. That is what we have to be very careful. Otherwise, it will look like this philosopher is innocent. Why? He didn't know that it was a book, and he looked at it as an antique. It was very interesting ornamented thing. Let me understand its chemical structure. There's nothing wrong in trying to understand the chemical structure of the antique, but first of all, your definition of the universe as an interesting thing existing out there, you have to use your free will to question whether it has some meaning in it or not, because you have the quality to make the distinction, whether it has a meaning or not. But the Muslim scholar, by definition, a person, it means not necessarily I will be a Muslim and then interpret the universe according to my belief. No, it's nonsense. No, Muslim scholar, by definition, means a person is so realistic. Yeah, he doesn't say that this is not an ornamented antique, the universe, but it is an antique book. As the text says, the text uses a simple language in order to speak to ordinary people. This universe is clear, transparent, as you said, the pronunciation, perspicuous book. It's very, meaningful, let's say. it is apparent that it has a meaning in it. It has a purpose in it. The all-wise Quran, what does it mean? Oh, is a Muslim knows the Quran. No, 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 no. We are talking about the universe. Why did he describe it as the Quran? Describe the universe as the Quran. That is what we learn from the Quran, that if you really understand the importance of this subject, you have to study the chapter Jathiyah in the Quran section, Jathiyah, the first page. You see that the same word is interchangeably used for the universe and for the Quran. The word is sign, Jathiyah, ayah, in the chapter Jathiyah, section of the Quran, Jathiyah. These are what the Quran teaches as well, and at the same time, we should let me see the section number. No, I think
What are you looking for, brother?
Sorry?
What are you looking for?
I understand the section number of Jathiyah.
Oh, it's the 45th chapter?
45th chapter, section, yeah, okay. So it is important because we think that the Quran makes the difference between itself as the speech of God and the universe as the work something out there, matter. It's not important, as if it's matter, but we have to follow God's guidance. But God's guidance is equally true if we refer it to the Quran, speech of God, but also even more importantly, in our practical life, God's guidance is in the universe as well. So I have to have the right attitude. It means I shouldn't condition myself that the universe is nothing but the lump of matter. But very interesting, antique. So I have to study it, find out some elements in it or the principles of working of this matter. So benefit from it for my only bodily needs. That is what we take the attitude, either this way or another way. The author says the wise Quran, because if we understand that this universe is so wonderful, it is meaningful, purposeful, we will understand that the matter cannot make itself into a meaningful text so that human intelligence can read it and make sense of it. Matter cannot make it. So there must be, why the word is used, the Quran, there must be a divine element in it. What does it mean? There must be a maker, creator of this universe who wants to tell me something, who wants to teach me something, who wants to speak to me and help me in order to get the answers to my human questions. A meaningful thing. I mean, we all read something, all of us. Why? Because we wonder what is going on here and there. That is why human inquiry is to wonder what this universe is all about. And the universe must have been created for this purpose. It is so meaningful. We understand that there must be a purpose in its creation. So if it must have a creator. So the purpose for the creator to create this universe in a meaningful way is to teach me. I have to get the meaning transferred to me. take it seriously. These are very, interesting points that attracted my attention and wanted to share with you, inshallah. I didn't speak a lot, inshallah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the note that you noting that the universe actually doesn't ask of us of anything of having a perception, but it's rather a choice that we make. And what attitudes do we have towards reading the universe or reading the book? Thank you for that. Go ahead. Agapi, go ahead.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum. One thing I couldn't understand, I wanted to ask you guys. When I applied this example into real life, as the Quran, as the universe, it says, as the Muslim scholar, from the point of view, the truth person neither attached importance to external adornments and nor busied himself with the ornamented letters. I thought is another example, as an art, without examining the art, studying the art, we cannot know the expertise of the artist. We should also study the book from that perspective of the philosopher in order to be able to understand how much expertise of the artist. That was confused me. Wanted to ask. Thank you.
Thank you. I guess one thing I can say, it's not saying that the Muslim scholar does not study the external adornments. It just says that it doesn't attach importance to it. So yeah, definitely. I think just because we're created as curious beings with so many questions, if we have questions about the external adornments, then definitely, yes, pursue these questions. However, the next stage would be how much value do you give to these adornments? How important do you think they are? And are you going to continue asking more questions in order to understand what is beyond the adornments? I see a hand. Go ahead, Farah.
Assalamu alaikum. Agapi's question also reminded me of a thought that I was reflecting on after last week. These two categories, without using the names as they're used here, viewing or reading this in relation to all the two brothers or two perspectives we've been reading in the previous chapters was, for me, most helpful. So instead of thinking about a Muslim scholar or European philosopher, I'm trying to always think about about the path of the one soldier who took the path with the equipment and the other soldier who did not. Or right in the beginning of the words, one who took the name of the tribal chief and the other who did not. So thinking in those terms helped me not be too exclusive or apply outside understanding of these words. And one of the things that comes to my mind in thinking in this framework is that wisdom that this, in this case, this Muslim scholar is seeking is something that encompasses the type of knowledge, let's say, that we call information or knowledge acquired from our experience, or let's say sciences, or, we use math or physics, biology, whatever, they're based on observation and calculations. But he uses them to ask what is the purpose of this or meaning of this that has to do with an eternal and with an eternal side to it, rather than thinking about it in terms of its worldly application as to what product can we make out of this only. So the wisdom to me encompasses the knowledge of that we call information, but we also call experience, but then adds a dimension that cannot be found by just a pure observation in this universe, but looks towards that which is not being extracted from our own individual efforts alone. And that's why this example of the antique representing a knowledge or symbolizing a knowledge or an experience that is not found within this nature of this universe became important. So to Agib's question, I take this view of the scholar to incorporate methods of the philosopher, but ask not what I can make or do or produce in terms of material benefit or gain, but rather taking those methods and asking what is the purpose of this and meaning behind this, which is essentially linked to its eternal significance. And I guess one last point that I'll make, which I was reflecting on this sentence. So this man wrote his work according to those crafts. And the sentence right there. And asking myself, like, okay, what do I think my craft is, right? What do I think my specialty is? Because based on my specialty or how I recognize what is it that my talent or skill is, I will apply it to the universe. And we've talked about this several times. If I think that my craft is, let's say, like a chemist or a jeweler, then yes, I will use the universe to those appropriate to those skills. But if I say that my craft or my skill or my specialty as a human being, as a conscious human being, is to understand or want to understand who I am, what do my needs tell me? So if I take my needs as my specialty or as my craft, unique to me, then I will look and study and examine the universe based on that specialty. So I guess we also have to define what our craft is. And if it is, in fact, our human needs, then we will study the universe to fulfill fulfill that requirement in us. But if I think that my specialty is a business person, then I will use the universe to fulfill my requirements accordingly.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the reflection and the question. Go ahead, Agape.
Yes, like within the example, it's understandable, like you don't give importance to the external adornments for the sake of meaning. But when you apply this example to real story, because the book is a universe, but we use universe in order to reach the meaning as an art, to know the artist. That's why I was confused.
Is it more clear to you now, or?
I mean, not so much clear. I understood the Farah is saying that not to use for your benefit. That's understandable. But like you can even use for your benefit, like as long as you understand the artist. Yeah.
Go ahead, Farah. You can go ahead, and then after Farah, Brother Ali, you can go ahead.
Maybe this because I was reading it recently and it's more fresh in my mind, the first word where it says to, where this traveler is going around and saying, using the same things that they need for their journey, but in the name of the tribal chief, or let's say in the name of God. And so in this case, I think this is what I heard Agabe say, that yes, you can use or engage or experience the universe to understand the processes that are used in the like observations, or let's say processes that go into things being manifested. And if let's say, I think the only perhaps even, it's interesting to think if what if the philosopher did all of that, whatever he's doing as a chemist, as a jeweler, but in the name of God, as in acknowledging that there is a source of all of this, and it's an eternal source, a conscious source, and I am doing all of these, using all of my skills in the name of this God, as in I am doing it in recognition and in order to know him, then how does this parable change? Does it become like the Muslim scholar, or does it become another? I don't know. It's interesting to think about this. To Agabe's question, I'm thinking more of, yes, you could be a skillful chemist, a jeweler, and have all these skills, and you could apply them in recognition and acknowledgement, and with the desire to get to know the creator of those objects that you're studying. Yeah.
Thank you. That's an interesting question to consider. Brother Ali, did you have something to say? Or because I saw you raised your hand, but then.
Farah covered it. Just I wanted to emphasize that both of them are looking at the book in the example. No one is really running away from the book, but the intention, the perspective they are having is different. Of course, if you want to understand the meaning inscribed in the book, you have to look at the, if you like, written form of the sentence. So without reading the written form of the sentence, you cannot get the meaning. So that is what maybe puzzled our friend Agabe. No, as if when I look at the meaning, as if I'm not really attaching any importance to the body of the book. Without the body of the book, I cannot read the meaning, it's obvious. But while I am engaging myself with the book, my intention is looking at the jewelry on it, yes, but looking at the meaning of the jewelry, because it will be explained later on in the text that every jewelry is put that in order to be assigned to a different meaning. For example, pearls refer to different meaning than the diamonds refer to. So in order to make the distinction between the pearls and the diamonds so that you will reach your aim is to get the meaning in the book again. So importance means giving the priority or looking at the book only for the sake of the material quality of the book. Only for the sake of the material quality of the book. Whereas another person takes an attitude, looks at the book again, investigates the book again, not only material quality, through the material quality of the book, his aim is to see the meaning behind it. What did they refer to? So when we look at the universe, for example, I mean, we need to be a bit careful with the language. We don't read the Quran, we don't read the universe in the name of God. Why? Reading the universe in the name of God means pre-assuming that I believe it in God. So that was the fine-tuning in the language. So what we should say, we have to look at the universe and use our intelligence to understand that this book of the universe is a meaningful stuff. Through reading the meaning, we will understand that it is referring to its source of existence, its creator. So that as a result, I understand that what the universe is telling me is the qualities of its creator, which is the name of God. This is the conclusion. Do you understand? Not the first attitude, but the result of the attitude. We make this language somehow ambiguous, as if the Muslim scholar took it from the very beginning that this is the Quran and it is a very precious, sacred book for me. I have to read the meaning. But how are you going to read the meaning if
Sorry, Brother Ali, you muted yourself.
it is nothing but an addition and maybe emphasis on what Farah said. Thank you, but I hope we should understand that this question was important, as if what happened in Muslim history, they stopped studying the universe, saw the different jewels of the universe, and they said, we are going to understand the Quran itself and the pure meaning without referring the signs demonstrated in the universe. But what they did instead, they studied the Arabic grammar side of the Quran and tried to understand the meanings of the Quran within itself in the Quran, not alongside with the example of the work of God in the universe. That divorce, separation from the universe, separation of the Quran from the universe contradicts what this author is saying here. You have to study the universe as the book of the God, the creator, or if you like, the Quran, meaningful. Then you can see, you can study the literature value of the Quran. That is something extra. But we have to study the universe and the Quran as if interacting with each other. We cannot separate it. Both of them are coming from the same source. The universe says, I am a divine speech. Quran claims itself, I am the divine speech. But Quran needs more proof, more evidence to be confirmed than the universe itself, because universe itself confirms its meaning. Anybody who looks at it with an open-mindedness. But the Quran needs to be carefully studied and then understand that only the creator of the universe can make this speech. Yes, they are the same sources, but the way we approach them are different. I don't know whether I made this case clear as well. These are important points that we have to pay attention to. Unfortunately, these important points are not really commonly discussed, studied, and didn't receive the serious attention from those people who say that they believe in God, unfortunately, we also had some biased attitude, as this example, in this example, the philosopher who didn't know the meaning, who didn't acknowledge the meaning, as the text says, didn't know Arabic. Arabic means the language. It means meaning. Meaning is conveyed, not necessarily Arabic. We talked about last week. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate the discussion. You're all preparing us for what we are about to read. The author will continue talking about the approaches, and we'll understand more in depth a bit about each person's point of view. So let's continue reading, and if there is any confusion or any reflection you want to share, let me know. Alrighty, let me start from here. Then the two of them took their works and presented them to the illustrious ruler. The ruler first took the philosopher's work. He looked at it and saw that the self-centered and nature-worshipping man had worked very hard, but had written nothing of true wisdom. So far, the first approach comes from a self-centeredness and a nature-worshipping place. We're not denying that the person worked very hard, but there's still an absence of true wisdom. And again, the word wisdom, there's a lot to talk about it, but so far, there isn't true wisdom. Okay. He had understood nothing of its meaning. Indeed, he had confused it and been disrespectful towards it, and ill-mannered even. For supposing that source of truths, the Quran, to be meaningless decoration, he had insulted it as being valueless in regard to meaning. Oh, okay, so he recognizes that it has value, but he's not recognizing that it has value and meaning, or we can say meaningful value. Not sure. So the wise ruler hit him over the head with his work and expelled him from his presence. So, okay, go ahead, brother.
First of all, I always need to refer to the main point of this section that we are reading under the title of 12th word. What is the main point? To how to understand the verse which is mentioned in the very beginning. It was, the verse was referring to whoever is given wisdom, he is giving a very precious thing. So what we have to always bear in mind that all the text that we are reading is in order to explain what Quran means by wisdom. Otherwise, we say, whoever is given wisdom, God gives wisdom, that's what the Quran says. What is this? Being a wise man. It means you know what to do and how to run the business, etc. But a wise man do something reasonable, if you like, in this life. We don't really notice that wisdom means having the right and wise attitude towards my life, towards the world I am living in, towards my own existence. That is wisdom. Otherwise, for example, treat your child, your children, your friends, whatever, your boss, your employees, whatever your position is, neighbors, in a wise way. What does it mean? In a reasonable way. That's what we understand. this is the mysterious word in the Quran, what Quran really means by wisdom. Now we understand that Quran means by wisdom, how do I treat myself, my human qualities, and the universe I'm living in, and how am I going to really try to experience my feelings in a wise way that it will fit into the purpose of their existence in me. It means why they are given to me, in order to understand why, which kind of production I am, who's the producer, who produced me, in order to understand and communicate with my maker, with my creator, who gave me the existence, who gave me these feelings to me. So this is wisdom. Otherwise, wisdom means really you can interpret it any way you like, according to the conditions of your life. Be a wise man, for example. Don't jump into the street where there is a heavy traffic. Look at it. We say, be a wise man. You see what I mean? It is not wrong, by the way. It is not wrong to be wise, the acting in this world. But what the Quran is saying, this is fitri. You don't have, it is, this is what we are created with. Everybody is this. My responsibility to use my wisdom in such a way that it will make my life, my being meaningful and worth living, and taking me to a purpose. That is, I think, we have to pay attention that the text is really or it will tell us really exactly what wisdom is, so that we will understand. This is the way, a way of reading these books that we are reading, the author of this, or the author of this book that we are reading. We have to bear in mind at the same time that we are reading a commentary, explanation of the Quran. I mean, while we are reading it, in order to understand what my responsibilities are in this world, but at the same time, if I am interested in what the Quran is saying to me, then how I can understand it. This is the very interesting way of interpreting the Quran, giving examples, practical examples, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's see what happens when he looks at the other book. Then he as the ruler, looked at the work of the other, the truth-loving, scrupulous scholar, and saw that it was an extremely fine and beneficial commentary, a most wise composition full of guidance. Congratulations, may God bless you, he said. Thus, wisdom is this, and they call those who possess it knowledgeable and wise. As for the other man, he was a craftsman who had exceeded his mark. Then, in reward for the scholar's work, he commanded that in return for each letter, 10 golden pieces should be given him from his inexhaustible treasury. Okay, so reflecting on what was just shared by Brother Ali, if wisdom is what we're looking for, then to the ruler, the philosopher's work did not have any, but the other did have wisdom. Again, it's still not clear what wisdom is, so we will continue reading and see. All right, if you have understood the comparison, now look and see the reality. The ornamented Quran is this artistically fashioned universe, and the ruler is the pre-eternal all-wise one. As for the two men, one, the European, represents philosophy or its philosophers, or if we use Farah's approach, then it's just the soldier who just goes around without his commander's names, or he's just going around. And the other, the Quran and its students. Yes, the all-wise Quran is a most elevated expounder. Sorry, I have to reread this. Yes, the all-wise Quran is a most elevated expounder, a most eloquent translator of the mighty Quran of the universe. Yes, it is the criterion which instructs man and the jinn concerning the signs of creation inscribed by the pen of power on the pages of the universe and on the leaves of time. It regards beings, each of which is a meaningful letter, as bearing the meaning of another. That is, it looks at them on account of their maker. It says, how beautifully they have been made, how exquisitely they point to their maker's beauty, thus showing the universe's true beauty. So the first thing that was recognized is how beautifully it was made. So approaching the study or approaching, studying the universe, the first thing you can say is how beautifully they have been made. And then the second thing you can say, and they point to their maker's beauty. But the philosophy they call natural philosophy or science has plunged into the decorations of the letters of beings and into their relationships, and has become bewildered. It has confused the way of reality. Okay, before I move on, anything you feel worth mentioning here or worth talking about here? Okay. While the letters of this mighty book should be looked at as a bearing the meaning of another, that is on account of God, they have not done this. They have looked at beings as signifying themselves. That is, they have looked at beings on account of beings and have discussed them in that way. Instead of saying how beautifully they have been made, they say how beautiful they are and have made them ugly. In doing this, they have insulted the universe and made it complain about them. Instead, philosophy without religion is a sophistry or fallacy, divorced from reality and an insult to the universe. Okay. What are you guys making of the difference between saying how beautiful they are versus how beautifully they've been made? And yeah, how are you guys seeing the difference here? Okay, go ahead, Brother Adi.
I don't think it is difficult to understand this when we use a simple example. If someone presents something to you as a gift or as food or a kind relationship to you, etc., do we say that, for example, a smiling man to me, do I say, oh, look at this man, his shape of face change it this way or another way? Or just be a human being, a wise human being. This man is showing somehow a loving relationship, respect to me, acknowledging me, having a good relationship with me, completely meaning. But I am looking at the man. A present, for example, given to me, that is why we have to understand why the ruler in the example took his book, his chemistry book, biology book, especially nowadays, exactly the same, looking at the matter itself, not meaning at all. Yes, you can benefit from it, but the purpose of existence is not to benefit from it really. Through benefiting from it, we will understand the meaning. That is wisdom for human beings. That's the wisdom in existence. That is the wisdom in our existence. That is why if someone is given wisdom, he will be given a precious good. What the Quran says, it means if you have this wisdom, you are worth being a human being. If you don't have this wisdom, you're worth nothing. Even you are a great scholar in studying chemistry or biology, because you are missing the point. Somebody gives you a present, you look at the present and never try to understand the meaning in the way that this present is given to you. And attaching the value to the present only and saying that this works like this, or I don't know, it is good for this, etc., but never acknowledging the meaning. For example, let me make a funny example. Somebody brought you a bunch of flour, all right? And wanted to say that he or she loves you and wants to be interested in you and wants to get married with you. Now, you brought the flower, or the person brought you the flower, or let's make it in the other way. You brought the flower to the person to represent your love or interest in this person. And he looks at the flower, takes it under the microscope, sees the cell structure of it, etc. What do you say to this man? Yes, he's studying, he's working hard, he's getting the detailed information how the flower was constructed, and maybe making a nice how is it called? The smell, how is it called? Scent out of it. Let's say this rose flower, okay? Making a scent out of it, and it smells wonderful, yeah. But if it is you that who brought this flower to this person, will you ever be interested in getting married with him or her? He's not a human being, he's a robot. That's why the ruler, of this country, in the example of, it's an example, owner of this country, took the book, hit on him. What do you do, for example, if you brought the flower, if the person treats you in this way, what do? You turn away from him and turn the door, shut the door on him. This idiot man, it is good that I understood. I'm not going to get married with him at all. I'm not going to be interested in him. That is human reaction. If we don't appreciate the value of anything, we deserve to be rejected. If we don't appreciate the value of it. If you give somebody a machine, if the person, for example, you gave a let's say iPhone to a person, he takes the iPhone and uses it as a hammer. He said, oh, it's quite strong, eh? Nowadays, iPhones are quite strong, or not iPhone, any cell phones are very strong really. Uses it as a hammer. What do you do? But it is functioning. It is used for a purpose. What do you do? Will you give him another iPhone, another one? Will you give him again anything else? What will you do to this man? Man, you say, I'm not going to give you anything. You don't really understand what the meaning of my gesture to you. You don't really appreciate the present I'm giving it to you. I think we understand those people who study the universe very hard, understand details, but never pay attention to meaning and the purpose in their existence. Therefore, if there is a meaning, there must be a purpose. They deserve the hell as the Quran describes. They will have nothing. Right? Thank you.
Thank you. Agape was responding to the example you were giving of the hammer. He's saying I would give him just a hammer. He doesn't appreciate the phone, so.
No, I'm sorry. It is a misunderstanding to me, Agape. I'm sorry. I wouldn't give him a hammer either. Why? Not because he says, oh, I don't need iPhone. I need a hammer. Please give me a hammer. No, he doesn't say. He doesn't acknowledge you. He rejects you. He disregards you at all, completely. That's why the owner of this universe will not give him a hammer either. He doesn't deserve it. But if he says, look, I need a hammer, I don't need a phone now, please give me a hammer. Yeah, I would give him. But he doesn't acknowledge that there is a giver. Somebody is giving him something in order to be utilized as a human being in a wise way. If I give him the hammer, he wouldn't use it in a wise way. He's not a wise person. That is why he deserves nothing in hell. The Quranic description of hell is perfectly fitting to me, to the person, of course, by definition, 100% denier of the purpose in existence. There are a few people in this case, very few rare people. Majority of the people appreciate the universe in one way or another, but only these purposeful materialist people, nowadays they are called materialist scientists, poisoning the minds of the people. They deserve nothing, including the hammer. We have to understand this. That is why that is how we can understand why the Quran keeps really warning people, warning again and again. They should be very careful not to go to hell, not to choose the way to go to hell. As if God is begging to us, please, 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 don't do this, because the result, you will have nothing and you cannot bear it. I didn't create you for this purpose. That's why warning of hell is much more needed than reward of paradise. Because I mean, if we take notice of the danger of hell, then we will find ourselves in paradise. But if we always hope paradise, but never see that where we make slip, where we make a mistake, we may make a mistake, we wouldn't know what the right attitude should be. That is an interesting point to me in order to understand the insistence of the Quran as warning people about the hell, the results of our life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are going to stop here. Before I just close out with a dua. If anybody is interested in facilitating next week, because there's a big possibility that I won't be able to. So if anybody's interested, you can, I think you all have access to the Excel sheet. You can just add your name or just let us know here.
Well, now they can tell us to be
Yeah.
the moderator. I mean,
Yes.
we will work together, we will study together, but we need a moderator, of course. Somebody will lead the discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Both Brother Ali and I can help with it. Prepare for it if you need to. All right, thank you very much for today. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.